Hello, hello, hello. That might be better, eh? Thank you, Hass. Oh, I'll have to look at the stream elements, but yeah, I was just saying, and I know I wasn't saying, but I was. Just let me know that you can hear me now. Yeah. So what we was going over. We were just talking about this Thursday. I'm going to be putting a TikTok, not TikTok, long form content video out for cashback. So not just solo stacking cashback like a lot of people do. We're going to go over. Hello, Kobe. How are we? We're going to go over the 4 steps, the 4 different stacks we can do. So capital on tap, gift cards, getting cashback there, using complete savings, and then one secret fourth one. And I'll show you how I would set things up, go over it, and then you can start for dipping your cash back. Obviously, when it comes to cashback, speak to your accountant. Don't just trust somebody who's on the internet. MCF from Maine. Yes, I am Kirby. MCF. When do Amazon give finance? So when it comes to Amazon Finance, it won't be exactly Amazon themselves. You'd get an invitation on ULend, or there's other ones. I haven't got my Seller Central up. Oh, wrong one. So you can go to, it'll be ULend which invite you, and it'll come up on the Amazon Seller Central dashboard. There are other companies out there which can. If you're not utilizing a credit card, I would probably start with that first, depending on where you are in your journey. Obviously, this isn't financial advice, but you'd want to make sure you're getting used to, like, the getting a bit more extra capital, and then you could be paying that after. Wonderful. Let's go. What do you want to know, Hass? What shall we do? Shall we move it onto so you can see the screen? But yeah. Is that after months or years? I don't know if it'll be triggered by the amount of sales you do, Mick. I'm not 100% sure if there's a definite number you've got to reach. And obviously you've got to make sure you read all them T's and C's if you are going down that route. But if you're on here, make sure you tap that screen. I haven't got the pack of Pokemon cards. Last week we said if we hit 5k likes, I would open a pack of Pokemon cards. I haven't got one available at the moment, but if you want to do that, we could do that. I think it'll be Mick. It'll be more after months, a few months, probably 6 months down the line. You will probably get, because you will have your business registered into, you'll have your business registered to like limited companies. You might get invitations through the post. So I get quite a few of them offering me finance. You can also go to if you go to like, my main bank is Tide. They offer finance or give me offers as well. But this isn't financial advice. Make sure you do your due diligence, though. Make sure you read them T's and C's, understand what you're doing. And when I first did ULend, it was quite easy to set up, but speaking to them, they gave you a bit more help and guidance. What we'll do is we'll go over a bit of gosh, That water just really hit me wrong. Oh, dearie me. What we could go over is if you're looking at the full screen on YT, just give a search of FBA today up. That will give you myself. We can. Let's have a look at some keeper, because keeper, for a new beginner, keeper can be a little bit daunting. Last week we had a seller. He was fairly new, just started, and he didn't understand what the different charts on keeper did. So let's just go over them. Some people, I want to list him with a bit of history. I'm not going to search it. I'm just going to press one. Oh, the World Cup's starting in a couple of days. Is anyone excited for that? Oh, this one's got a bit of data for us to look at. So can you see that, everybody, if you are watching on the YT, on the long form platform? So if you was wanting to understand keeper, obviously keeper is broken down into these three charts. So this first chart, this is like your BSR rank in the category. So the bestseller rank. The lower the number, that is the better. What's happening with YouMove? Jacob Ritchie, I didn't get affected by YouMove. But with YouMove, that was people were selling fakes, weren't they? So there was a case, I don't know if it was probably about 18 months ago now. I don't know about, there was some Chinese sellers jumping onto the listing and selling fakes, which obviously some dogs became ill. Sadly, unfortunately, a couple passed away, I believe. It went all nationwide, all in the newspapers. That's why you've always got to do your research when you're purchasing your products, making sure you keep a proof of purchase from where you brought them products. So invoices, receipts, and you also want to make sure you do a check on that supplier before you make any purchases. But here we go. The first chart on Keeper, as you can see, this is the sales history chart. So this green line here, let's remove some of these so that you can see it a little bit better. Let's remove that one. This green line here is the BSR, so where it sits in the category. And this tells this tells us a good story, especially if we're looking at the likes of Buybox and with Amazon on the price. Sometimes you'd see these two go missing and you'll have the BSR start ramping up. If you can see now, obviously Amazon is at this £36 mark. We have got a rise here. If you look at the longer chart, so you can see when it's usually at $32.99 or $35.99, the BSR is quite low. So that's pretty much the RRP, pretty much. If you was looking where Amazon go out of stock and this BSR starts rising, that means that it's still getting sales. You can see that by chart 2, which we'll go over in a minute. But this is where people will be selling at a more higher price. So if you put the FBA price in there, you can see people was then selling at the £42. The thing is, if you turn that back off, this pink line is a really important line because this shows where we have a buy box. So when you have the Amazon price, the FBA price at £42, you can see this pink line doesn't go up there. So that is just showing that Amazon doesn't deem that £42. The gentleman, can I ask a question, please? Sure, you could ask a question. Ask as many as you want. So you can see here, this £42 isn't deemed as a good offer. So Amazon are not offering a buy box to the customer. Why do they sell hot dogs in a pack of 12 when I can only fit 10 in my... Oh my days, that isn't a gentleman type of thing to say. Jeez. Depends how big they are. Are they Are they quite big frankfurters, or try get them long thin ones which you get out of a tub? Brilliant. So with Amazon, this is the orange shading. As you can see here, when you see an orange shading, that means that Amazon is taking offers. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're selling. It just means that they have stock or they're preparing to get stock in. Sometimes what you notice is like, no, not like here. Sometimes what you notice, Amazon might be in stock, but they may not have a buy box. So you may see this pink line being slightly above it. And when that happens, that means that Amazon's deeming that Amazon might be late shipping. So you can obviously be buying it for a higher price and getting faster shipping from a third party FBA seller. So sometimes you may see that. I thought this would be it here, but the Georgie V's Goods Limited, they haven't actually got the buy box. It's just showing this orange line for that seller, saying it's a third party seller. Is there any questions on that so far? I'm just going to go over it a little bit slower than I usually would, just so then you can ask as many questions as you want. Remember, if you're on the TikTok, double tap that screen. It shares the live, and it really does help me. If you want to help me even further, come and join us on YouTube and give us a follow. The gentleman, you didn't tell me what size sausages they are. I am, unless you ask lots of questions, I am going to be ending the stream at 8 again. 9. So make sure you ask lots of questions and I'll stay on. Last week I said that I'm going to come off at 9 and we ended up staying on till about 10:30. The missus wasn't happy. So we keep away from the listing where Amazon sells and keep the buy box. Right, that's a good question, Hass. So what you would want to be doing if you're using Keeper or Selleramp, I'll show you on Selleramp first. You want to be looking at this buy box analysis. So you can see here we have the 30-day chart, which gives Amazon a huge percentage, and we've got CJ Online Limited with a bit of a chunk, 4%. If you go to the 90-day, we can see it suppressed, so that's where most likely Amazon's gone out of stock, which you can see Amazon was out of stock a bit, so it went suppressed, meaning suppressed means there's no buy box. And then you also have a few FBA sellers on there, and then the 180-day, you can see Amazon's been sharing the buy box. So you've got to think, like, with a listing like this is selling hundreds of times a month. So if a third party seller who had probably 4 or 5 units of stock, they might sell really quickly if they win the buy box. So sometimes you won't actually see a buy box shared, but I would always recommend, sorry about the dogs, I would always recommend making sure that you check the 30-day that the buy box has been shared, the 90-day, and the 180-day. You can look at the all-time, but you want to be focusing on that shorter time frame, closer, more relevant information. So sometimes what you'll see is the 180-day, there might be a big split where Amazon shared the buy box, and then if you went on to the 30-day, that might be 100%. The 90-day might be 100%. So you'd be wanting to do another check, look further into it. So you'd look at the offer count. You'd be seeing if there was just one seller or if there's been a massive drop off in that chart, and try and understand why that's happened, because sometimes if it's 100%, that might mean that Amazon's kicked everyone off the listing, Might be just people can't get this hands on stock. So you've just got to be a little bit aware of that. Does that make sense? You can search it on SellerAmp. I don't know if you're using SellerAmp, or you could go to data on Keeper and then go to the buy box statistics, and then that gives it you, but in a different format. So it just gives you it in table. You can see here the percentage won, so 96, 4%. You can see the average price. You can see if they're FBA sellers. It tells you when they just won it. So I always check to make sure that Amazon's share in the buy box. And another question is like, another thing I will point out, if a third party seller, so if a third party seller had the buy box 100% of the time on all these three charts, I would be wondering, I'll be looking at their storefront, seeing if they're actually the brand, if they're linked to it, and making sure that you can still share the buy box with them, because there are some listings, like especially private label, where they don't share the buy box. Thank you for the follow, Ulphilip. Olu Phil. Me talking is absolutely horrendous, isn't it? Hello, Mark. How are we? Are you feeling a little bit better, mate? I think it was last week you came in, or the week before. How are we? Aye, I'm glad to hear it. So we've gone over this top chart, and as you can see here, we have got a few where I don't actually have on there. If you wanted to, you can press all these different buttons, and it just gives you, it makes it quite confusing when you're looking at Keeper. So this purple, I guess. Yeah, purple. I'm sure my missus would call it something different, lilac or something. Um, this purple or pink, this is the buy box used. So when a buy box in the used condition has been won, you can see different used offers, used like new, very good warehouse deals. If you see warehouse deals, usually they would come down in price, so then Amazon clear the stock. And then you got the list price, so when it was first listed, if I remember. Suggested retail price, there we go. So as you can see here, we also have a blue line. So blue line indicates, as it says here, third party FBM seller. Sometimes on listings, when you're coming to analyze a listing, you would see that a blue line might be selling higher than Amazon. And they might be, the blue lines are usually like an independent retail store, not retail store, but like independent store, just trying to get a few sales. It means that they're going to be shipping the products themselves. Obviously, we know what FBA is. That's a third party who's fulfilling by Amazon. Everything all right, my dear? Yep, brilliant. When you are looking, you can obviously hover over the price chart at the top. You can get the information. As you can see here, it's telling us all the different types of information. So what the buy box price is, what an FBM's listed at, an FBA, and Amazon's price. These are all the new prices. Like I said, if you want to use, you can turn that on. I wouldn't. I don't really look at used products that much, to be honest. If you was doing like charity shop books and you doing used books, it's a big in America doing used books, so you can actually look at that as well. If you are on TikTok, hello, I'm Ash. You're welcome to join us on YouTube. My name is FBA Today. Tap and like the screen if you don't mind. Lovely people. Um, Down on this second chart, on YT, I am actually showing you what we're going through as well, so it might be worth coming over, having a look. Make sure you drop us a subscribe as well. It's free and it's just like a follow. So on this second chart, this is showing us the monthly sold. or if you wanted to, you could get another chart on, which is very similar to this BSR. This is just another way of seeing what category it sits in. You can put building sets, so as you can see, the subcategory. Personally, I like to keep them off because we have got this green line here. If you wanted to look at subcategories, if you was looking at a competitor, if you was doing the likes of private label, you can obviously keep that on. But for a third party arbitrage seller, I don't feel that it's necessary. But you're looking for this yellow line, golden yellow line, because from 50 plus sales a month, the previous month, 50 monthly sold, and this will go up and down. As you can see, if it's on the verge of hitting 700, it can go up and down. You want to be checking these out usually in certain categories. So like this one would be toys and games, a Lego set. When it comes to December, you could see that that is getting a massive amount of sales. But toys always sell throughout the year. We can see that this product actually sold a little bit less here because Amazon and the best price is no longer there, is it? So people would still be making the sales at this higher price, like £56, but we don't have an Amazon price. So these solds have lowered, but obviously the price, technically what a customer's paying, is higher. Does that make sense? More likes can attract viewers. Keep it up. Thank you. Thank you, Ellie, for the like. It's nice to have you back in. I know you've been in a few of the lives. This live, we are on week 96, I believe. Week 96 of going live. You can watch all recordings as well on the YT. It does get posted pretty much straight after as well, I believe. So it might take 10-15 minutes or not. But moving on, obviously we've looked at the monthly sold chart too. We've had a look at the pricing history, understanding which ones, what the data is telling us. And then we've got this third one, and this third one is the offer count. So if you see this chart, we don't want to see a massive drop off. I'll give you an example of that shortly, but you want to see a healthy chart of it going up and down, like we see here, which this chart, even though it's got 20 offers on, it can look a little bit saturated, I guess. But you have got to look at who's on the listing as well. So you could see that we've got a few FBAs, but most of these offers are actually FBMs. So if you are selling as an FBA seller, you are getting an advantage because you're going to have the faster shipping speeds. So you can see that this offer count is the full new offers, but like I say, we've just got to remember some of these are not FBA sellers. So you would actually be competing with Amazon if you jumped on this listing. You'll be with Georgie V, Flex Supplies, A to Z Home, and Briggs Service Limited. So you're only competing with 5 people, really. It doesn't mean that the FBM sellers don't necessarily make sales. It's just that you're going to be competing with people at your stage. So let me know if you've got any questions on that. Obviously, we can see their price as well, what they're selling the product for. What else can we see? You can look at the rating count, which most of the ratings usually are good. If you see a rating count go down, I don't usually look at this. I would look at the product when I'm first going on. So 4.8. If you see a rating count go down massively, so change from a 5-star to a 3-star, that might be a lot of people listing the product incorrectly. So it might read as the listing is a 6-pack, for instance. We're actually where it's a 10-pack or something daft like that. So people are not getting what they expected. This would be a sign to avoid the listing. I would never really buy it, sell anything knowingly, which is like a 3-star. I always try and keep it the top 4 stars. If you are using filters, I would recommend 4. And it just means that you're going to find them better products. You don't want to be getting negative feedback on your seller account, even though you can remove it if it was a product complaint. But yeah, I'd keep it at 4 rating. You can also see the feedback which has been left on the product. Usually you'd see it just going up. It's very rare that you'd see a drop off. If you see a drop off, sometimes that will be because there is a variation on link to that product. So one of them products may be removed, and that's showing you that Amazon's wiped that items the variations from that listing. If you can see very closely, we have got this black line here, which is the used off account, and it works very similar to the new. Obviously, it just goes up and down when there's people selling the used products, and that's pretty much it. When you are selling some types of electrical, can I start FBA online arbitrage with $300? If you was starting with $300, I would probably recommend, and if you're saying dollars, I would probably recommend starting with like used books. There's a lot of information on used books, and it works very well in America. But if you did use books, you'd understand like how to send products into Amazon, get you started, get a few sales in. It's usually low cost as well with used books because they are used. So you could be buying them from, I'm guessing, like a thrift shop, charity shop. You'll be able to buy possibly 4 or 5 books for $1 maybe, and you may be able to sell them for $8, $9, possibly 10, and just start building capital up like that. You'll be also able to get Salaram and go do some retail arbitrage, looking at clearance items and starting that way. Personally, I think $300 is a little bit low. If people ask me in the UK, I would recommend £500 as a minimum to get started, because you have got like subscriptions, you've got to pay to sell on Amazon. So I think 300 is a little low, personally. You can do it, but you've got to realize that you've got to also have a plan of where you could scale with that amount of money, because like I said, subscriptions are going to eat into your profits. And if you start with something too low, which website can I find books? I'm not 100% sure in the US, my guy. I'm not 100% sure. Is Mansfield guy still in here? Is my mate Mansfield guy still in here? If you come and follow us on YouTube, I don't know if they'll restrict me. No. Come and follow us on YouTube. You'd be able to see what we're actually doing, and it just gives you a bit of an understanding. Silent. 1 second, just need a refreshment. Where's my guy, Mansfield guy? So what I've just showed you is Keeper, how to use it, what different charts mean, and we've gone through that. Is there any questions, Hass? Are you still in here? If there's any other people in the YouTube, just let me know what is going off. All the questions, I am going to come off in 20 minutes unless there's lots of questions asked in 20 minutes. Putting the pressure on you guys. Putting the pressure on you guys. But ask as many questions as you want, Silent. But because I'm not from the US, I'm not 100% sure on where to recommend for finding certain stock. So please, though, feel free to ask as many questions as you want. If you want to come and see the screen, like I say, that is on YT. Just give us a search. My name is the same, FBA Today. I do this live stream usually for 2 hours, but because it's summer, a couple of weeks ago it was really hot over here. And we don't have aircon. We're not blessed with aircon like you guys have over there. But I was absolutely panting, dripping wet through. So now I've reduced the stream to an hour while it's summer. But we'll see. We'll see how we get on. How much do you earn from Amazon in a month? Well, I don't usually talk numbers, but I am full-time. I'm VAT registered in the UK, and I've been full-time for next month 2 years. So yeah, a lot of people come onto this. A lot of people come into this live, and I've got value to add to a lot of people, but I don't think it's very necessary for me to say exact numbers. Some people do. I never have, and I'm quite happy to keep it that way. I don't think it proves anything. But yeah. So that was looking at Keeper. If you was using Celeramp, you can obviously see, and you have got an active Arbisource subscription. You can go and look at the Arbisource reverse search. Here you got £32.99, £32.99, and it goes all the way up to £55 where you could be purchasing it from. Sometimes you've got to just realise that, like, sometimes like John Lewis, I'm sure John Lewis is a marketplace, but you've got to just be aware where you're buying from. There's going to be a lot more marketplaces popping up, so you can see the likes of Superdrug, B&Q, I think Tesco Marketplace. There's a few others as well. In the UK, there's 60 odd marketplaces, and what FBA sellers do, they'll send their products to Amazon, and then they will do what's called multi-channel fulfillment. So while Amazon has the stock and you sell it on a different marketplace, so for example, if I sold this Lego product on eBay, I will be able to then get Amazon to send my eBay customer the product instead of sending it to myself and then sending it to the next person, the eBay customer. So if you were looking at marketplaces, you can do all of that. Oh my god. You can tell that I've not had a few good nights sleep. I've got quite a bad back. It's not been fun. But yeah. If you've got any questions, feel free, ask away, let me know, and we could go over that sort of stuff. But it's lovely to have you jumping in and out. Like I said, make sure you drop us a subscribe or a follow, depending on the platform you use them. And yeah, like I say, I don't know if people was in here when I mentioned it earlier. The next video, which is going to be released on Thursday, is going to be talking about cashback. So we're going to be talking about how to force that cashback so then you can make more money on your cost of goods or your spend. I do it quite regularly. I was doing, I got 18% cashback earlier just on one purchase. So I'm going to go over the lesson. Obviously, it's not going to be financial advice, but you have to talk to an accountant how to deal with that, because you don't want to trust somebody on the internet. But like I say, we're going to show how to go over and what to set up and what steps you would do if you was going to 4-stack your cash back. And like I say, I earn 18% cash back on my orders earlier. You could do that. It's quite easy. But yeah, it's good to know if you're doing Amazon and your spends are quite high. You can make that little bit of extra income, little bit of extra margin while spending that money. So if you've got any questions, feel free to ask away. Let me know. We're on the YT and we're on TikTok. Feel free. Every question is available. I have got to have a little bit of a play around with OBS as well. So I went to a networking event last Friday, it was, and there it was a TikTok event, but my partner does TikTok shop, and there they had these studios. So they had the likes of George Foreman, and there was somebody else. There was a hair straightening company, and they was actually Remington, I think, and they was actually live, and you could see the ins and outs. So they had lots of studios. Obviously, there was a lady doing her hair, talking about the different sales, and she was engaging with it. But they had like 6 cameras all over the room, loads of big studio, and with OBS, they was able to change the different camera locations. So, like for me now, I'm looking at 2 cameras. I've got one set up for the TikTok, one set up for the YT, and it's giving you a different experience from both sides of it. So I want to learn a little bit more about that. But it is what it is, isn't it? I'm a little bit geeky, so I'm quite happy to do that. That's why I like looking at the data on products so much. And if you was here last week, you could tell I was a little bit down, but we have done it. We've finally got out of the danger zone on Amazon. Thank goodness. It happened after 2 stressful long days of making sure plenty of emails going out, but I am no longer at risk of being deactivated, which I'm quite happy about, as you can imagine. But yeah, let us know. Hello, Louis. How are we? It was stressing me up, especially that I've been dealing with it for the last 50 days nearly. It's not down to my fault. It's just the different requirements have changed. Seller support had been telling me that I should do one thing. Why? What happened? So it was to verify my KYC information. So they asked me to provide information, just like you. It says on the website, it says you can provide a passport, a driving license, and or national ID card and something else. Permit to of residence. So what I did was I submitted my driving license for a couple of days, because it does every time you submit stuff, it takes them a couple of days to say yes or no. So I did the driving license because that's what I've always used. Said no, which I was like, brilliant, this isn't going to help. And they was declining my driving license because it didn't have my nationality on it. So you've got to just bear that in mind now. And then they was asking for a passport, but me, I don't actually go on holiday abroad. We've got 3 dogs, so we don't necessarily go abroad that much. So I don't have a passport. Not had a passport for 7 years. Um, so I got onto Amazon seller support, explained that I don't have any of the documents. I says I'm a UK citizen. My nationality is British. Um, you can see that my place of born on the driving license was England. It's an English driving license, and that should be good enough. And they wasn't happy with that, so they told me to get a citizen's card. Yes, bro. What capital did you start with, and how quick did you scale? Camera, it all depends on yourself, really. But I started with roughly. It was probably about £500, but then we started getting our sales in, and then we started adding more onto it and then you could grow quicker. But don't start with a massive lump sum. I would say £500 really is the minimum. But if you did like 1k, I would spend like so much on products to begin with, and then grow more, put more in. And if you're working 9 to 5 job, try and compound that as well. Put more in, just not a lot. You don't have to start with a lot, but it's you don't want to start with loads at the beginning because you are going to make mistakes, and if you put more in, you are going to obviously lose on them mistakes. Hey Bams, how are we? So I was just telling the story, starting with £1,000, finding good products, button gating is a nightmare. Right, I was going to. This week has been a little bit annoying, to be honest, but I was away for 2 days in Manchester. But I did say that I was going to put my ungating guide on my pen site, so the link in my bio. I haven't done it yet. But there is a YouTube video which I have done, and I might recreate another one for my own personal YouTube. But going over all the ungating tips and tricks, try and help. But if you go to the FBA Navigators YouTube, I did do a video on there. It's an hour and 20 minutes long, but that will go through every step of the ungating and like tips and tricks. If you've got 100 unit ungate, it'll help you out with that. So an hour and 20 minute is long, but I was doing it to a live group. So there was questions asked, so it may help you. I've never had many problems with ungating. I have had problems with ungating. I was just telling the story, Bams, about I after 50 days of fighting Amazon, I have just got my account back for risk of deactivation, which was to do with verifying my KYC requirements and stuff, because they wouldn't accept my driving license. Then I got advised to get a citizen's card to prove my citizenship to the UK. Then I've had. Then I've didn't. They says the only thing we will accept is a passport, and because I didn't have a passport, I had to verify, go send off for a passport, get all that sorted out, and then they've been arguing with me. Like I've got. I haven't. I don't know if I'll be able to show you. How can I show you? I got an email off Amazon saying they declined my bank statement, saying that it wasn't good enough proof for a bank statement, and what the requirement document should be is a bank statement. So everything I've submitted for the last 50 days has been declined until today. They restricted my sales. You could see, like, from 2 months ago. 2 months ago, like, I've it's been tough. Like this, that's been affecting me mentally. And then we've had a rough few weeks in our personal lives, but even it started to worry our VA because he was submitting leads, and I didn't want to be putting investing a lot of money when I'm not getting sales. And I had 10 days left to get my account back, so I was like, I don't really want to just keep buying products and then risk being it just sent to Amazon. So I'm thankfully, touch wood, touch bloody all the wood in the blinking Shire. We that is sorted, and there's going to be no more issues. So yeah, we all know that Amazon could be a tough nut to crack, but it has been a nightmare. That is the easiest way to put it. And like I said, we haven't had a good run at life the last few weeks, to be fair, either. So it has been a bit of a nightmare, really. But there we go. We move on. But it's gave me a bit of good stuff because I have been building more processors for the eBay side of thing. Did you know anyone else that had the same problem? No. I've been talking to Ricky about it. Because obviously me and him talk quite regular. But thing is he couldn't, like, I was sending him messages of like, Amazon says you've got to require a bank statement. I sent them a bank statement and they said this bank statement is not acceptable, and it's been declined because you have sent us a bank statement. The requirement documentation you need to give us is a bank statement. It's like, it's got all my company name on it. Everything links up. It's absolutely stone cold solid. It's like, but that is a bank statement is not what we could accept. And it happened with at the very beginning. It was because they gave you the options what you could use to provide like your nationality and stuff. Prove your identity. It was driving license, passport, permit of residency. And I was, because I don't have a passport, I don't travel, I was sending my driving license in non-stop, and they just kept declining it. And then there was like, yep, you sorry, someone's just popped up. It's like, yeah, you can't provide us a driving license. And I was like, well, that's what Amazon are asking for, a driving license. So I'm giving you a driving license. It's like, yeah, that's not good enough. It's like, come on, guys, come on. Sorry, I am just happening to do this. Press something. Oh, dear me. Well, I just get going up here. Let's see. We have something just popped up and then it's like disappeared. I don't know. Oh, decent. Nice one. Did you send them like um bank statements and everything like that? Bank statements, highlighted the transaction. But well done. There was we did a when we had the navigators running, we did a call with somebody whose main business in the UK is FBA, not FBA, retail arbitrage, and he got caught up in the UMove scandal, which happened 18 months ago, 2 years ago. And what happened is he told us what he had to do, like to prove, because he was getting his UMove on his retail arbitrage trips. So he says that he had to get like a bank statement, get the receipt. He showed like his proof of mileage, everything he had documented on for that journey. He had it all there, and it got accepted. He got like thousands back because a lot of people closed down from that incident. Picture of the receipt along with bank statement, and that that is good, really, that you've got that, because you've got to think with the bank statement that has got your address. The receipt has got the address of the place you've brought it from. obviously you've got your company name on your business bank. Thinking about all the other requirements, you'll have it within the last 180 days, depending. So yeah, I had the same problem with YouMove. I was lucky enough to have missed that. I have been, like Amazon, it's more of a battle of survival, isn't it? You've kind of got to be lucky. It's like we purchased from Varna when it was a big thing, obviously, when I was still in Seller Circle and stuff. And we purchased some stock from Varna, but Rach got it delivered. And I looked at the charts when I was about to send it in. I says, like, that looks like so dodgy. There's been an IP drop. We're not sending that in. So we just took the L on it. Hiya, Luca. And we put it in the shelf, on the death shelf, which you've probably seen in a few of my videos. And we never sent it in, so we never got affected by the Varna whole K beauty stuff. But yeah, so we got lucky with that. We got lucky with the YouMove. We haven't had another really big thing in the last 12 months, really. So yeah, good move. I know there's a couple of people who brought from like Yes Style and stuff who's been banned, but if you don't know, you don't know, do you? But yeah, it's all different, isn't it? Just getting a bit of me brew. The golden nectar. Right, it's 9 o'clock. I am going to jump off. I'm going to jump off. I don't think there's anyone on YouTube. So what I'll do is I'll sign off YouTube and continue the conversation on TikTok. So if you are watching on the YT, thank you for jumping on. This live is going to be set up to come out within the next few moments. Probably give it 5-10 minutes. If you want to come and join us, my name is FBA Today and we're on TikTok. But if you need any information, go to the link in my bio and I'll catch you next week on the next one. Cheers. There we go. We could end there.